Welcome to the Arrington Gavin Show. Real talk, big opinions, and fearless conversations. From the front lines of politics to the latest in pop culture. From breaking sports headlines to the stories that move the world. Nothing's off limits, and nobody's holding back. Arrington Gavin is here to break it down, build it up, and keep it all the way real. So turn it up, lean in, and let's get into it. This is the Arrington Gavin Show.
What is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome to the Arrington Gavin Show, your go-to spot for sharp insights, bold opinions, and unfiltered takes on the biggest stories of the day, whether it's politics, sports, pop culture, or the latest buzz. Look, we're diving deep and keeping it real. So please do me a favor, kick back, stay informed, and get ready to join the conversation. Look, my friends, on tonight's conversation, local and state elections matter. And if you've been watching this show, you know that's something we continue to emphasize, because while Washington gets most of the headlines, many of the decisions that impact your schools, your roads, your healthcare, your taxes, and your everyday quality of life being made much closer to home. Now, tonight, we're taking our conversation to Tennessee, where voters in State Senate District 13 will have a choice to make this November. My guess is Angela Wynn, the Democratic nominee for State Senate District 13, and she's making the case that voters in Rutherford County are ready for, well, a different voice in Nashville. But she's also running in a state where Republicans have dominated politically for years. So question isn't simply, well, what Angela Wynn believes. It's whether she can convince Republicans, Democrats, and, well, independent voters like myself that her ideas on education, healthcare, affordability, public safety, growth, and working families are the right ones for this district. Tonight, we're going beyond campaign talking points. We'll talk about what motivated her to run, where she believes Tennessee is getting it right, where she believes it needs to change, and most importantly, why voters should trust Angela Wynn to represent them in the Tennessee State Senate. It's going to be a fair, respectful, and, well, pressing conversations, as we always do here on the Arrington Gavin Show. Before we get going, y'all, I hope you enjoyed yet another great convo last show where we had on candidate Jeremiah Harrell, who's running for school board in my home city, Chesapeake City School Board, I was telling him I've been interested in having a lot of school board candidates, because you know how much I always talk about the importance of local government. We get distracted of what goes on on a federal level, right? We see, whether if you turn to CNN, Fox News, MS Now. I gotta keep on saying MS Now and not MSNBC, because I'm still on MSNBC in my mind, but it's MS Now. And when you watch stuff on a national level, you realize the issues that happen in Washington trickles down on a state level, trickles down on a local level. So I'm glad when I have the opportunity to have on local candidates and local elected officials to have an understanding of what goes on firsthand in our backyard. So again, I appreciate Mr. Harrell for taking the time coming here on the show. If you have not checked out that episode, I believe that was episode 653. Yeah, 653. So just in case you haven't, be sure to check it out. It's on demand on all platforms. As you know, we drop new episodes weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcasts, whether that's iHeart, Spotify, Apple, just to name a few. We're available on all podcast platforms. You can also check us out on the GoatVerse TV app. You can check out past episodes of the Arrington Gavin Show on the GoatVerse TV app. You can download it on Google Play Store, App Store, Roku TV, or Amazon Fire. And we're just continuing to stretch out, our audience, grow our platform, and again, just share great conversation. We have fun here, but we also want to inform our listeners, because I'm telling y'all, knowledge is power. And the worst thing that could happen is the fact that you just don't know, right? You don't know that it's early voting season. You just don't know what issues are on the ballot this season. You just don't know how crucial our current system is, where you have veterans and seniors losing healthcare. You have folks losing certain benefits to help feed their family. They're at a toss up between, well, do I do medicine or groceries? What is unfortunate, but you have to remember that, look, your vote is your voice. And I understand we are all extremely frustrated of what's going on. We feel as though like, hey, there's promises that are brought to our table, but they're never met. I understand y'all, but please remember that it is a power in the vote, and y'all have got to get out and vote this season. Do me a favor too, if you have not followed us on our social media platforms, do so. We're on Instagram at the Arrington Gavin Show. You can also check us out on Blue Sky and X. Both handles are AG Show Live. All right. And then you can also check us out on our website, www.theagshow.com. If you have a question you want to ask, hey, be sure to send me an email through our website, or you can DM me on Instagram. Or if it's a topic discussion you would like to hear, be sure to reach out to me. I'm all ears. I'm a people person. I love conversation. I love answering questions as well. And well, those that disagree, if you want to send something, I appreciate the engagement. I love everybody. What can I say? Also, my friends, subscribe if you have not done so yet. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share with a friend, share with family. We want to continue to grow our platform and spread this great message and just great conversation. We speak on politics, pop culture, but we also provide platforms for folks doing great stuff in the community, right? Giving back. We have the opportunity to speak with entertainers, right? Professional athletes, elected officials, even folks that are saying, hey, look, I want to make a difference in my community. And what I'm seeing in my community, I think I'm the person that should be making those decisions on a state level, like our guest, Miss Angela Wynn, who we're going to be having on later on in the show. But besides all that, I hope you all are doing great. I'm not going to kind of go on my spiel like I normally do, because it's really, it's nothing really new. I mean, to a certain extent, I'm always like numb what goes on in Washington, because every time, it was funny. I was watching what was I watching? I was watching CNN Newsnight. That's the show hosted by Abby Phillips, and it is a debate show where you just have I think it's like 4 people. You usually have 2 conservatives, 2 liberals, and they're all kind of sharing their take on a certain story. Well, there was one where they were talking about oh my goodness, how Trump puts his face and name on everything, right? And they're saying, is this a little bit too much? Is it really he puts his face on everything? Isn't it a little bit of extreme? And it's interesting how conservatives, or at least Trump supporters, they always defend the fact, well, I mean, he's this, oh, he's that. I'm like, oh my gosh, could you please wipe the brown stuff off your nose already? Like, it's too much. He has his name and his face on everything. When I I have family out in the DC area, right? When I go to visit, I usually take the train, right? And I arrive in Union Station. And when I arrive and I see this big old poster of Trump's face on it, and I just say, they're like, sir, you okay? I'm good. Huh? It's too much. It's too much, people. It's not okay. I'll just be honest. It is not okay. It is not cool, the fact that we have somebody that cares more about himself and does not care about the people, those that he's supposed to be serving. Again, we have the power. We are the bosses. We hire folks to represent us, right? Their salaries is paid off of what? Taxpayer dollars. So rather, he's paying more attention on adding more gold to the White House, or making more money for him and his family. It's disgusting, y'all. Again, let me stop, because before I go on my rant, we got a special guest on, and I'm excited to have her on and to hear about her platform and all the things that she's wanting to bring to the table for District 13 out in Tennessee. Let me go ahead, y'all. We're going to head to a commercial break. You're listening to the Arrington Gavin Show. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
Every man has a story to tell. Your ambitions, your achievements, your legacy. Your suit should reflect that story, crafted precisely, designed for impact, and tailored exclusively for you. We work with only the finest fabrics, luxurious wools, silk, linen, and blends from world-renowned mills in Italy, the UK, and India. These fabrics are the foundation of custom suits that exude elegance and stand the test of time. But a suit isn't just about fabric, it's about fit and it's about confidence, and it all starts with you. When you work with me, you'll receive a personalized consultation, whether in person or over Zoom. Together, we'll explore your vision and discuss your needs, and we're gonna bring your ideas to life. My journey as a designer includes apprenticing under New York-based designer Clavon Leonard, showcasing collections at New York Fashion Week, Algeria Fashion Week, and the prestigious Baltimore Met Gala. That experience is what we bring to every suit we create, from weddings to corporate events and everything in between. We specialize in crafting one-of-a-kind suits for life's most significant moments. Dapper Luke has been recognized as one of Baltimore's best menswear in 2023, and I was honored to be one of the 10 designers selected for the prestigious Baltimore Met Gala. With over 900 satisfied clients, we proudly serve Virginia Beach and Baltimore, bringing world-class designs to these incredible communities. We don't just make suits, we craft confidence. Your suit will fit your body, your style, and it will tell your story. Book your free online personal consultation today. Visit www.dapperluke.com.
What's up, y'all? Welcome now.
And we still in traffic.
Don't look familiar, do I? Not in this seat.
Hey, what's that you listening to?
Here to host today.
Hey, turn it up.
With me?
Yeah, that's that new Gold Verse app. I got you.
So y'all want to know where the goats are? They're off on the sidelines.
Looking for fresh, relevant content wherever you go?
What was the name of that he said?
Introducing GoatVerse TV.
GoatVerse, that's what it's called.
The free streaming app that brings you the best podcasts, current events, and thought-provoking opinions all in one place. Download it now from the Apple Store or Play Store. In Goats, we trust.
6'10", number one pick, 16 seasons, college player of the year, all-rookie standout. Joe Smith built a career on grit, consistency, and showing up.
Greatness isn't just about the game. It's about how you show up every day. Rugged Evolution now offers body care products for every man, because not every man wears a beard, but every man deserves care. Greatness doesn't fade.
It evolves. Rugged Evolution Beard Care. Every beard deserves to be legendary, and every man deserves care. All right, family. Thank you for sticking with us here on the show. As I mentioned earlier, we're honored to have a special guest, Miss Angela Wynn, who is the Democratic nominee for Tennessee's State Senate, representing District 13. District 13, that includes Smyrna, Murfreesboro, and surrounding Rutherford County communities. Now, you know what's interesting? Murfreesboro, when I had first heard this, because I went to a small school out in North Carolina called Chowan University. Guess what the name of the town was? Murfreesboro. So I'm thinking it was only one Murfreesboro on the map until I found out, wait, there's another Murfreesboro? So anyway, all jokes aside, though, we're very thrilled to have on Miss Angela Wynn. Let's go ahead and bring on our special guest. Hello. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule.
Of course. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Well, look, I mentioned earlier, you are, again, extremely busy. You are the Democratic nominee for State Senate out in Tennessee, representing this 13th district. Miss Wynn, if you don't mind, for, because you're new to the show, if you don't mind sharing a little bit of your background to our listeners and kind of help guide us on the roller coaster trip that led you to pursue this bid for running for State Senate.
Yeah, trust me, with the background I have, I never thought that I would be in this seat, right? So so grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, kind of was back and forth on the East Coast. My dad lived on the East Coast. My mom lived in the Midwest. Graduated from Harold S. Vincent High School in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, moved to Silver Spring, Maryland, worked for a year because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do after I got out of high school, right? So took that gap year, ended up going at the Howard University. So I am a proud Bison. Graduated from college. At that time, I think my oldest son was 4 years old. So, people are always like, you went to Howard? I said, yes, but I graduated with a 4-year-old. So I have a little bit of a different experience than everybody else did, right? So, so I decided that I wanted to maybe be a lawyer, went to work for a law firm and quickly determined I did not want to be a lawyer, that I wanted to stay in administration. And so that's what I did, right? I stayed in office administration, working for some of the top law firms, in not just in DC but in the
Mm,
world. Ended my career in Washington DC, working for James A. Johnson, who it was a massive, massive, massive political figure in Washington DC. May he rest in peace.
mm,
So I ended up moving out to Nashville, Tennessee, with my husband. We've been here now since, I want to say, 2015. We've been married now for, it'll be 11 years in November. We have 5 kids. Three of them are from my first marriage,
mhm,
and we have 2 together. All of our kids have attended Rutherford County schools, except for my oldest. He graduated cum laude in Nashville, Tennessee. And so when COVID came, unfortunately, my oldest kid graduated during COVID, his senior year. That was the year everybody was at home. My daughter was just starting kindergarten,
mm,
and I was going crazy. And then we got out of COVID, and I was ready for these kids to get back to school. So ready for these kids to go back to school, right? But they didn't want to do a mask mandate.
mhm,
And so, although I had kind of done, volunteering in the past, I work with the YWCA of Middle Tennessee and Nashville. I've been working with them for many, many years,
mhm,
because I am a domestic violence survivor. But I had never really understood about how to engage with my elected officials to kind of get things
mm,
moving, right? So through that experience, banding up with some other moms and parents who felt the same way that I did, creating a group called Safe RCS, where we advocated for masks to be mandated when our kids went back to school. We reached across the aisle and worked with our then Republican board chair, and we were able to convince enough of them to make sure that that happened. And so that's kind of where my journey began, especially when it comes to public schools. I believe public schools are the cornerstone of our communities, and everyone deserves a good education, a good and free public education. It's an actual, it's a right as your citizen. And so, yeah, that is how I ended up here.
Well, then, so saying all that, because what I'm hearing again is community active work, right? Community activism work. Um, you said that, well, I'm paraphrasing, but then you have the idea to say, I think I want to go a little further in
Yeah.
my, in my messaging, right? I need to go on the, state general assembly to say, hey, look, I need to be a part of what's happening. And look, I'll be frank, out of all the states, we're doing it in the state of Tennessee. Tennessee is redder than red apples. I mean, it is a, and I I joke because, like, I had the opportunity to have on a number of folks out of the Tennessee. I had on friend of the show, Hendrell Remus, who's a former state Democratic chair. He was there for, I believe, about 4 or 5 years. And it's a lot when it comes to the I'll just say, for example, the Democratic side has never been, I'll say, the winning side in the state of Tennessee. But that being said, though, what led you, Angela, to say, I think I want to pursue running for state senate, not starting on a local level, right? Not city council, not school board. You said, no, I want to go to the general assembly. Like, what? How did that start up, and like, how was the conversation with you and your family on that decision, or when you brought it to their attention?
Yeah, so it's funny you should mention that. I actually sit on the board of SOCM, which is statewide organizing for community empowerment. It's actually where I am today, out here in Cookeville, Tennessee. And through my experience working with SOCM, I have learned of so many other pressing issues that are here in the state of Tennessee, right? One of them being maternal health.
Mm,
We are like the worst in the country when it comes to maternal health outcomes. And that's not just women giving birth, that's up to 1 year postpartum, right?
mm,
And so it's 3 to 4 times worse for, women of color who look like me. And so that was when I decided that I wanted to get people together so we could advocate for maternal health together. And then it was this idea of, wow, everything is so expensive here. I heard that they're trying to eliminate the grocery tax. Let me get out and advocate for that too, as well. So it really became more of this is more than a public schools issue for me, right? This is more of a quality of life issue, not just
mm,
for me and my family, but for everyone around me. And I felt like I'm tired of us advocating for the needs of the people and the ones that we elected are not listening to us and making decisions that are wildly unpopular in Tennessee. It's funny you say that, Tennessee is a red state. I'm actually getting a lot of heat for saying that Tennessee is not necessarily a red state. We are a gerrymandered, voter suppressed state, right? There are, in Rutherford County, we are a purple state, which we just proved because we just flipped 5 county commission seats, and we took back a school board seat for the Democrats as well. We are a purple county. We are a unengaged, low voter turnout county, and that is why everyone sees what they're seeing in Tennessee, because I think so many of us have become so apathetic that we didn't think that we had the power to do change or to make change here in this state. And so for me, if you've ever known me in my professional life, that is my thing. I am a fixer. If something is hard, I will go into it with both feet. And so for me, it's more about proving to the people that we have more power than what people think that we do here, right? We have been a supermajority for the last 15 years. Before that, Tennessee had a normal bipartisan government, right? We even had a Democratic governor, Phil Bredesen, and things were better back then. And so what I'm loving seeing in those comments under that video, aside from, Tennessee's red, it's always going to be red, are real Tennesseans who are saying, hey, I remember those days. And so that's what we need. And I'm here to take us back to those days, or at least get us started in that direction.
Ms. Wynn, what, I want to ask kind of a two parts. So you are the Democratic nominee. You're going against an incumbent, Dawn White, who has been in that seat for a minute. And I think the last election cycle when she won, she won by a large number. I believe it was like 65, 30-ish, 35 something vote. In addition to that, also, why should voters choose someone without legislative, I'll say, experience? What I mean by that is, again, you never served a political position. Yes, you have been working in the communities firsthand. You know exactly what's going on, but having those voters saying, let me read her resume. It's like how do you convince some of those voters, especially those that might be independents and Republicans, because winning an election now, you can't just win with just one side votes. You got to have the majority.
You can't.
What do you say to those folks? At least trying to convince them to say, look, I am qualified for being the nominee, and I am qualified to serve this district, and I have the qualifications that can beat my opponent who I'm running against.
Yeah, so I think for me, as far as legislative experience, being an organizer is, I kind of want to say that the baby job to what it means to be a legislator or someone in the legislature, right? A community organizer, somebody who is out there every day listening to the people, getting what their needs are, and then taking it to the legislator to see what we can do to make things happen, to get things passed, right? So when you're talking about, bills getting written and things like that, those aren't things that necessarily these legislation folks are doing by themselves. They do it in partnership with other advocacy agencies and things like that, so that we're making sure that we're getting everything in there that will actually appeal to a broader, community, right? Because where I stand from, it's not necessarily about who's red and who's blue. It's who lives in my county, who is going to be directly affected by the decisions that I'm making every day. And those are the things that I want people to understand, that I am someone who has a record of common sense, someone who has served as an executive in a company and understands what leadership means. I am a true servant leader. I believe that when you give people the power to be able to do for themselves, to be able to feel like they are seen, to feel like they're being heard, that it makes a huge, huge difference, right? And as far as like working across the aisle, I always say this in jest, but it's really true. Mike Sparks is a Republican in our legislature right now, and I carry his card in my wallet just because he gave me his card and said, hey, if you ever need me, you contact me, right? This is someone whose office I've sat in and had conversations about, and we don't agree on everything, but his door is always open for us to communicate, right? The same thing for Shane Reeves. We've come to him and talked to him about women issues, about school issues, and his door is always open. And he's always someone that you can speak to with reasonable reasonability.
Mhm.
And that's what we need, right? I'm not saying that, I will never go and say that all Republicans are bad, right? We have Republicans in office right now who are clearly not trying to serve the needs of their people, like
Mhm.
the person who is representing my district right now. So what we need are people that actually are going to listen to the people and try to put into action the needs of the people. I was on a local radio show and somebody called in and asked, why don't public schools have lobbyists, right? We have
Mm.
all of these other organizations. They have lobbyists to go up on the hill, and tell them what they need and what they want. Why don't we have that? And I said, first of all, public schools they're already underfunded, right? Our teachers are not getting paid what they deserve. Everybody is stretched thin. Right now, we can't get bus drivers. So some of our kids don't even have buses to take them to school, right? We don't have the funds for that. I said, do you know who your lobbyist is? Me. When I get elected, it's my job to go up to that legislator and advocate for your needs. And what I want to continue to do, and what I'm doing right now, is to work with people in the community, like the people of Sockham, who are doing base building right now. And that means going out and knocking on everyone's doors and asking them, what do you need in your community? That is how I am going to be able to be effective in my role when I get elected, is because I already have my ear to the ground and are working with those organizations that are going out to the people and finding out what they need.
Transparency was what comes to mind, is extremely important, and I hear a lot of folks, frustrated voters, and I will go to different areas. I'll go to more Democratic leaning areas, I'll go to more conservative leaning areas, I'll go to different age groups, and saying, okay, what are one of the key issues? And every time I hear the exact same. It's like, well, I can never get a hold of my elected official, or it's like they're only being seen during campaign season and they're ghosting throughout the full term. And they say to contact, but I get a voicemail or I get this and that. How important, Ms. Wynn, is what you've hit it on the hat earlier, but I just want to ask, if elected, how important will be like engagement with your constituents? And by the way, and before I move forward with that question, how large is District 13, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, so if I win this election, I'll be representing about 220,000 people. So this is a rather large district, and
Oh wow.
and it's funny that you say that, because that's one of my complaints that I've had about my representation. It's like
Mhm.
Mike Sparks has his door open when we want to talk about women's reproductive health, and God bless him. I had explained to him what IVR was while I was sitting at his desk. But it's like, but whenever I've come up on the hill for, down the hill for whatever it is, for some reason, we're never able to get an appointment with our elected official on the Senate side, right? And
Mhm.
for me, I was asked that question. And every time I ask that question, I have to laugh, because it's like, y'all know where I live. Right? Y'all see me on a regular basis, whether I'm at a community organizing meeting, whether I'm at, the farmer's market in Murfreesboro Square, whether I'm at Murfreesboro's and Brews, whether I'm at Dapper Owl. These are places that I show up in the community on a regular, everyday basis, right? I think
Mhm.
my favorite thing is to run into people at the grocery store when I'm explaining to them my campaign, and they're like, "Do you know this? Do you know this?" Yeah, I know all of those people, because those are the people that I seek out and I'm with on an everyday, regular basis. A great example is our newest slate of county commissioners. I have been organizing and working with these people for years, and it is amazing for me to be able to say that if I get into
Mhm.
this position, or when I get into this position, I already have folks here in Rutherford County who are going to support the kind of work and the kind of change that people in this county clearly want, because they showed that when they showed up to the ballot box the last time.
uh, uh, since you've been on the campaign trail, what other issues have you heard from the people? Because I know when it comes to canvassing, it's not just introducing your platform, but you also want to receive feedback on what issues do you hear the people speak on the most. If you can, just name a couple, or speak on it. We have time. We chillaxing right here during this convo. So what has been some of those issues that you've heard from those in District 13?
Yeah, so I am all about meeting my constituents where they are. And so not just door knocking, but, for those who may not get on our list for one reason or another, reaching directly out to my campaign so we can have one-on-one time.
Mhm.
I actually spoke with now a new supporter, And you know, a lot of times when you talk to folks, those big issues come to mind, right? Especially school vouchers and, you know, public schools in general in Rutherford County, especially because we're just so overcrowded right now. Our most recent rezoning was a complete and utter failure, and now we're having, you know, bus issues, right? But that wasn't her issue. Her issue was the fact that she is a single mom, right? She has two kids. One of them is her birth child. The other one was gifted to her. She fostered them and ended up adopting them. And what really bothered her was the strong support that her legislative representative had for Nuclear Family Month, right? And Nuclear Family Month was passed in Tennessee as a way to be in direct contradiction with this idea that families come in all shapes, sizes, whatever, right? Trying to break that idea of the LGBTQ community being able to have a family. Well, in her mind, I'm a single mom with two kids. And although I am an attorney, so I'm a professional mom, I pay my taxes, you know, I care about my kids, they go to a good school. But when you say Happy Nuclear Family Month, that doesn't represent me. That doesn't represent my kids. And then she talked about the problems that are happening in DCS right now, right? With our kids not being able to get the attention and resources they need in the foster system, especially so that we're able to not only care for them when they're in the system, but be able to make sure when they're transitioning out of the system that they have the resources they need to acclimate to whatever new home that they're in. And you know, that's not something that was immediately on my radar. And that's definitely something that I want to look more into, especially because I know, you know, Representative Afton Ben, that's one of her platforms, is making sure that, you know, children that are within the system are getting the needs that they are getting their needs met, and that we're holding our elected officials, you know, accountable to making sure that those kids are okay. Another conversation that I had that didn't come from door knocking, because again, a lot of our constituents are worried about making sure that grocery tax is ended, making sure that we have schools that are equitable for everyone. But this was public school adjacent. I met with our carpenters union, who I am blessed to have an endorsement from. But their main concern is the fact that there are a lot of professionals in that industry who are getting ready to, you know, retire. And a lot of times, especially if you have like a family business or a business that you own and your kids don't want to do it, they don't necessarily have people that they can mentor to take over what they have spent a lifetime building, because those types of jobs are not being pushed in schools right now. You know, you remember the days when you had shop class, you know, when you had home economics, where they sat down and they taught you how to, you know, fill out a check or balance a checkbook, right? Those are skills that we're just not teaching our kids. And so one of the things that I really want to be able to do, because me as a parent, you know, my kids go to Stewart's Creek High School, and they have access to all types of different things that they can explore as far as what career readiness looks like for them. But that's not the same in all Rutherford County schools. And it shouldn't be like that. What my kids are getting at their public high school is the same thing that Smyrna High School should be getting. It's the same thing that Blackman High School should be getting. All of these kids deserve access to the same type of education. And that's what I want to do, because college is not for everyone, right? I have a kid right now who got into every daggone great university in Tennessee you can think of, including Vanderbilt. But he's going to Motlow State College because guess what? None of these schools gave him enough money for him to be able to feel like he could go to school and not leave without a bunch of debt. So he's taking advantage of the Hope Scholarship. He's going to go to Motlow College, which is right down the street from the house, which means he's going to stay home. And when he's gotten himself together after 2 years, he's going to transfer to UTK. That is his destination. That is his dream. That's what his whole high school career was about. Well, my 17-year-old is about to graduate. He's a senior right now at Stewart's Creek High School. He wants to go into HVAC.
And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that, because HVAC pain. Okay, let me see if I can rewind my life. Let me see if I can rewind my life and be like, can I do
that part? That part. And so that is what he wants to go into. And so for me, I don't see opportunities within his high school right now for him to be able to do it, right? Like, I'm glad that he's in all of these honors classes, English and pre-calc and all these other great things, but he wants to do HVAC. And so what I want is for kids like my son to know that there are programs out there where they don't have to pay to go to school, right? You get an apprenticeship and they teach you while you're on the job. And guess what? After 90 days, you qualify for benefits.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that is extremely important because, and it's interesting that you bring this up because a previous show I did with a gentleman running for school board, I brought up the vocational routes. Plus, my father taught in vocational schools. He was a retired firefighter, and then he ended up teaching in a vocational school, firefighter, paramedic, surgeon rescues, all of that. And in my mind, I'm like, wait a minute. Why am I just now hearing about this? Now, I was a private school kid. I wasn't a part of the public school system, but it's now starting to be a talked about discussion because of the cost of universities, right? I mean, students are told, if you do this and do that in 4 years, you're gonna have the job of your dreams, and you're gonna pay off all your debts. You good. You can't get this job because you got to get a master's, and you either overqualified or underqualified. And then, in order to get the master's, you got to get your doctorate. All that stuff adds up. And now where's that vision that was installed in the child beforehand, saying, oh no, you got this going on, but wait a minute, I got all this debt. So what I'm hearing is providing that realistic goal to your students, and just again preparing. We talk about common sense, laws. Why can't we do realistic goals within the school system?
Man, tell me about it. It's like, so my oldest son graduated from Hume Fogg, which is an amazing high school that's nationally recognized in Nashville, Tennessee. He got accepted into Morehouse, right? But he graduated during COVID. And so he didn't necessarily want to go down to Morehouse, for that first semester, because at that time, there wasn't really a vaccine and all of that. So he decided to stay home. Well, I think when he finally did get to school, right, he ended up doing Fisk online because Fisk gave him a scholarship. He did a semester there. I don't think being an at-home student was working out for him. So I said, hey, maybe take a semester, sit it out, because he had deferred his admission to Morehouse to the next fall. Well, he gets down to Morehouse, and he comes out, and we're talking about, okay, we're getting ready for the next semester. You get your financial aid together, blah, blah, blah. And he says to me, I don't know if I want to go back. Is that okay? And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, I'm not sure what I want to do. And I don't think I knew when I started. And I said, well, let's not keep spending $15,000 a semester to figure that out. Right? I'm not gonna force you to go back and pay out all that money. And you know what he's doing right now? He's bartending. And people may not think that is a viable thing, but it is a viable thing. That man has not called to ask me for anything. I don't know.
I know that, and I know that's right. That's right, Mom. Speaking to it, that's right.
Listen, he lives in Atlanta. That is a great thing for him to have. And he has great social skills, right? So he's been in hospitality for a while now, and he's always worked at Michelin star level restaurants. And when you work at a Michelin star restaurant, you make pretty damn good in tips. So this idea of everyone shooting for the stars when it comes to these, white collar professional, work, you can make a good living being a popular bartender who also does, weddings and events on the side, right? You can be a manager at your local store because those stores have programs where you can actually make six figures being a manager. Like, college is not ever for everyone.
Well, and not trying to get too sidetracked with this, because I do have some more questions I would love to ask you. But to add to what you're saying too is the fact that, in my opinion, I just feel as though society is just so judgy. Like, it's just so judgy. And I'm trying to hold my tongue. I'm trying to work on not cussing as much. My wife told me I need to watch my tongue. But like, again, just prime example, being a kid that was in the private school system, I was surrounded by a lot of judgy people. Not my classmates, right? Not my classmates. I still remain close friends with a majority of them. I was a social butterfly, so I was friends with everybody. But it's like when I see parents that arrive and stuff, it's like everybody is just teachers. I mean, let me tell you something. I was the minority. HBC schools was not looked as a good thing, like as a higher education thing. And I'll just say that, for example, like you mentioned Howard University. We here in the Hampton Roads area where I'm at, we have NSU, Hampton, the state of Virginia, we have Virginia State University. We have a prominent HBCUs. That was not looked upon as, ooh, if you go there, I don't know if you're going to succeed like a Virginia Tech or UVA. And I just use that for example. It's just, we just live in such a judgy field. So I just want to push that out there, Ms. Wynn. But you mentioned in regards to overcrowding. You're starting to see some overcrowding in communities. Rutherford County is a very popular county where a lot of folks want to move. But you have folks that have experienced the traffic development and overcrowding. How would you say fix that once if elected? What is your ways to work with that? Because the goal is to, you would love to bring more people in, but we have to make sure we have the room too and make smart decisions when it comes to certain development that's being built in the community. If you don't mind sharing, some from your platform, if elected, how would you be able to, maneuver that on the
So
General Assembly?
I'm glad you asked me that question because I've already started doing my part in alleviating that by making sure that we flip some of these county commission seats, because what folks don't understand is the reason why we have so much overdevelopment is because of our county commission. County commission are the ones who are responsible for development within our county. And that includes when it comes to zoning different areas, whether that's going to be commercial, residential, or commercial or residential. So that was one of the first things that I did. It's because we had county commissioners that were, let's just say that they were very well supported by the folks who want to build as many houses as they can in Rutherford County. And those of us who live in Rutherford County can see the difference between the houses that they were building when folks were really starting to come out versus the ones that they are building right now, right? They're building houses that don't necessarily have the same type of quality materials but they're selling them at higher prices. It's another conversation I have with the unions. Don't even get me started on general contractors who do not hire within our community, or they do, and they pay under the table, which means they're doing wage theft and they're not allowing their employees to have access to like healthcare and stuff like that. So all of that goes into why we are so why we are where we are as far as overcrowding. For me, it's making sure that I am restricting so many general contractors from coming in, underbidding in all of these contracts to be able to get to build these houses, so that we can make sure that we have folks who want to see Rutherford County look a certain way. Like, I mean, those of us who live there and work there, and a general contractor who is going to say like, this is not what we need right here, and not building just for the sake of building. So that's one of the things that I want to do. Another thing is we need to stop private equity from coming in and building all these houses. We need to stop private equity from coming in and buying all of these houses. I know for me myself, while I am all about everyone being able to live in a safe neighborhood, or what they feel like it's a safe neighborhood and an inviting community, I feel like all of us should be able to be homeowners. Right? It makes no sense that the majority of renters are renting from a private equity firm. So those are the things that we really need to think about when we're talking about development and things like that. It's more about reining in these politicians who are doing these backdoor deals with their buddies to make sure that everybody in the end wins out with all of this overdevelopment. And that's not just general contractors, that's real estate agents too. And you can tell that just based on the way that based on the people that are donating to these campaigns. So yeah, I'm already on the road for that.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to ask about housing affordability, because that is a key issue that's occurring. I mean, obviously, I know for sure in your in your district, but I mean all over, and it has increasingly become difficult throughout Middle Tennessee. So, what can state government, in your mind, realistically do about housing prices without interfering too heavily in those, I'll say, in the private market, I guess?
Yeah, I don't think we want to we want to be able to lean too heavily in the private market. I think we need to be speaking with our builders and things like that to make sure that the housing that we are building in these communities are affordable housing. Like, that's what government is for, right? Government is here to make sure that everybody has a fair chance at having the quote unquote American dream. So when you're allowing these general contractors and these other folks who are building these subdivisions to come in and build these wildly, expensive homes, like, if my husband and I hadn't bought our home when we did, we wouldn't have been able to afford to live in our own neighborhood.
Oh, hold on, Angela. We can't hear you. Oh,
Okay,
I can hear you now. Yeah,
there we go. Yeah, but the crazy part.
Oh, can you still there, Angela?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. Yep.
Okay, good. My microphone went. I'm like, oh my god, what happened?
No, it's all good. It's all good. So you were saying you and your husband you looked at, basically when it comes to housing affordability, if you try to purchase your home that you're currently in now, it will be difficult than it was in back then, due to obviously I know that interest rates are probably extremely high, and it's for that first time home buyer, it's a struggle for them to say, look, I love this place, it's my dream. And some folks, which is sad, and we have this going on in my home city, folks that are from the area, they're they got a job in the area, but they can't afford to live in the area, so they got to live 45 minutes sometimes further out to be like, okay, this is kind of my price range, I wish I could stay here, but I can't.
Yeah, and that's why Rutherford County is growing, right? Outside of the fact that we just have amazing schools that we're working very hard to make sure that they stay amazing, is this idea that, it's more affordable where we are. And that's part of the reason why we decided to move to Rutherford County. Like, we were the last house to be built in phase 5. When phase 6 came, that was a $50,000 jump. Like, there's no way we would have been able to afford that as a family, as small as ours, right? Well, not as small as ours, as large as ours was. So for me, it's like looking at my own kids and wondering if they're going to be able to have an opportunity to buy a house, right? Like, I tell my husband all the time, to come from where I came from when I was living in PG County, right? As a single mom, there, living not even paycheck to paycheck, right? Just stripping and doing as much as I can for as long as I could for my boys. To be where we are now, where I can go to the grocery store and not necessarily say, okay, I can't pick this up right now because I know I can't afford it. Like, there were times where I would get paid, and after bills, I have $25 for the next 2 weeks, and that's with me and 3 boys. So I come from a place of privilege right now to be able to look back on who I was then and say, there's no way that I would have been able to get as far as I did if I were living today right now. And isn't that what we're here for? We're supposed to be helping families thrive in this country, and that's not what we're doing. What we're doing is we are looking at folks who are taking advantage of everyday American people, the ones who are heads down, nose to the ground, grinding it out to make sure that they can put food on the table and keep the roof over their head. And they're just manipulating them and taking advantage of them. And everyone is too tired to notice. I'm not tired anymore. So because I'm not tired anymore as far as the day-to-day struggle, I want to be that one for my people to say, hey, this is what's happening to you, and this is how I want to fix it.
I want to go back as far as talking about public education. So you've opposed school vouchers. Supporters say vouchers give parents, especially lower income parents, choices they otherwise wouldn't have. So I guess my question for you is, why shouldn't taxpayer education dollars follow the student?
I'm so glad that you asked me that, because it's not as cut and dry as that. And the number one reason is because this type of program has shown to fail in every other state that it is implemented. And what I mean by failure is that the majority of those educational dollars go to kids whose parents and families could already afford private school or are already in private school and have never set foot in a public school in their entire career. Knox County right now is underfunded by $8 million. $8 million. And yet we're putting another, $356 million into our school voucher program. We are in desperate need of fixing our public schools. You cannot create a problem, blame the people who are trying to fix it for the problem, and then take funds away from them to try to give your buddies, you know what I'm saying, discounts on their public education. If you follow me on any of my socials, I have a post on there talking about how the school voucher program came to pass and what my opponent had to do with it. It has nothing to do about education choice for kids, because if it was about providing a great education for all of our kids, no matter where they live, we will be pouring more resources into public schools. That's where our money would go, not to private institutions that do not have to accept your child. And I don't say that as someone who is just pointing it out. I actually sat on a panel. I did a panel for the League of Women Voters, and we were talking about school choice. And so it was me as someone who has been advocating for public schools for God knows however long. And I'm sitting next to this guy who's suited and booted. He runs a private school. And so, first of all, I love it when I come up to these types of things because I'm always dressed like this. So everybody's automatically like, oh, who is that? And then they read your bio, and then the guy is like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm here, okay? And so when we talk about this idea of school choice, I always say, when they tell you school choice, that is an illusion, right? And I turned to the guy next to me. I said, you run a private school, right? And he said, yes. I said, it's a private Christian school, right? And he said, yes. I said, yes. And you are a mission-focused school, aren't you? And he said, yes. And I said, yes. So if any kid doesn't fit your idea of what your mission is, you're not going to accept them at your school, are you? And you know what he said? No, I wouldn't. Guess who can't do that? Public schools. Everybody deserves a free and public education. School choice is supposed to be about for everyone, not for a certain portion. So that's why I don't believe in school vouchers, because they are not fair and equitable for every student in the state of Tennessee.
Another question I want to throw in is it involves with public education. Then I'll kind of move on to healthcare. Teachers recently identified student behavior as one of their biggest concerns, at least in Rutherford County classrooms. Now, how do you, if elected, how do you restore classroom discipline while also making sure vulnerable students aren't simply just pushed out of the education system?
Yeah, so we need to be figuring out what resources we need to provide for these children, because it's obvious that it is a resource issue. One of the things that I really am trying to push to is universal pre-K, because I believe that children deserve to be able to have an opportunity to get an education as early as they can, and not by, a lottery or by chance or by their income, but just because studies have shown that the earlier that you put a child in that type of curriculum, the easier it is for them to be able to move on, when they get to kindergarten, when they get to middle school, when they get to high school. Our kids need more resources. Our kids are, stressed out, strained. They don't have places to go, things to do. We're cutting back all of our programs. They don't have, the arts or sports or after school clubs or things like that. That is what's happening with our children. Our children need paying attention to. We can't just say, oh my God, the parents are out of control. They're not watching their kids, blah, blah, blah. This is why I talk about this idea of Americanism and how it pushes this idea of individualism, right? It's not our problem, it's your problem. No, it's not. It's everybody's problem, right? Our environment has created, our circumstances have created an environment where our kids are not able to thrive as they should. And so it is up to us as adults in the community who have a vet in all of these kids' education, right? Because these kids grow up to be our doctors, our dentists, our lawyers, the people who ring us up at the grocery store. We need to be figuring out what we can do to solve this problem together, right? I believe that children should definitely be held accountable in an age-appropriate manner, but I also know that Tennessee is a state that in some places still believe in corporal punishment, and I just do not believe that that is a way to discipline a child. We need to be providing them more resources, especially when it comes to mental health services. That's one thing that we've talked about a lot. And not just having school counselors in there, that'll help you with, what classes to take and things like that. We really need behavioral specialists in our schools on a regular basis, on an everyday basis, so our kids have access to that type of care as well.
Okay. You explain on your platform you support expanding Medicaid. If you don't mind, of those reasons, why do you support expanding, and how does that look on the in the future of trying to expand it?
Yeah, so right now our government is refusing to accept federal dollars to expand Medicaid because they don't want the federal ties that come along with it. Basically meaning that they can't discriminate against folks, right, when it comes to healthcare access. I know in my county specifically, healthcare access and mental health services are the top two community issues that we have going on right now. And so expanding Medicaid, what that means for my community, it means all of my rural neighbors who live in what I call medical deserts will actually be able to have the opportunity to have access to health care that they need, right? Because right now, all we're seeing are all of these for-profit healthcare places going up where people can only go when they know they have no place else to go and something is hurting them so bad that they need to get immediate attention to it, right? For us, what we need to be doing is investing not into these big corporations, these big hospital organizations that are coming in and building all these for-profit places, right? Taking advantage of our tax penal system or whatever, and then robbing our constituents and putting them into medical debt. We need to be investing in our local doctors, our primary caregivers, right? Our nurse practitioners, our pediatricians. Those are the people that we need to be investing in and providing incentives to come out and serve these communities that need them so bad. No one should be denied health care. No one. That is a basic fundamental human right, just like getting a good education and being able to eat good food and have a roof over your head. And so for this, like expanding Medicaid can help so many people where they are, right? I'm someone that has an indivisible disability. So if I didn't have proper healthcare access, I wouldn't be able to work on an everyday basis. We all talk about how we need more people out in the workforce. They want to talk about how people are lazy and all stuff. They're not lazy, they are sick. You give them the help that they need, they will work because they want to.
Yeah. I agree with that. You made maternal health. I'm sorry. Maternal health as a big priority on your platform. Is one of your signature issues. What specific law in in the General Assembly would you change to improve maternal outcomes?
Yeah, so right now in the coffers is a bill called the Maternal Health Care Disparity Act. And what it does is it expands the ability for medical providers to be able to provide that emergency care to our to women who are pregnant. And so it would keep them from discriminating against them. Because right now what we have in Tennessee is a law that basically allows providers to discriminate against patients based on, their moral code, their religion, or anything like that. So what the Maternal Disparity Health Act does is it removes that from the table when it comes to pregnancy care. We talk a lot in Tennessee about, making sure that we're, giving birth to all of these beautiful babies, but we're not taking care of the vessels that are actually bringing these children into the world.
Okay. We're transitioning to criminal justice, right? That's something that's a big conversation, especially on the campaign cycle. You've talked about ending the school to prison pipeline and investing more heavily in rehabilitation. What do you say to voters who hear criminal justice reform and worry politicians are becoming soft on crime?
So the one thing that I tell folks about when it comes to crime is that when you give people the ability to survive, crime tends to reduce, right? Like, that's why I say we need to be investing in the resources that will help people not be put in the positions in the first place for them to be locked up. And let's be real, right? A lot of these people that are being locked up are for low-level offenses. I know right now we have an overcrowding party in our Rutherford County jail system. But the truth of the matter is about 750 of those people haven't even been charged or given a sentence with anything, right? So it's like this whole idea of being, soft on crime. There's no such thing about being soft on crime, right? We want to have a legal justice system that holds people accountable when they do things like that. But what we don't do is we put them in a system, don't do anything to rehabilitate them, and then send them on about their way thinking that they're going to leave being productive citizens. They're not. They didn't have the tools before you put them in jail. You didn't give them to them while they're in jail. What's going to make the difference when they get out of jail, right? What I was told is a lot of times what needs to happen is we have folks who are have addiction problems, and more times than not, that's the reason why the criminality is happening, right? So these people get locked up, they get clean because they don't have any choice to, right? But then when they get out on the other side, where's the transition care? Where is someone to pick them up at 2:00 in the morning when you've put them out on the street? Because in Rutherford County, you get put out the same time that you got put in, right? To help them transition to a space where they can continue to not use, where they can learn how to, get proper identifying documents, like a license or just a state ID or something like that, so they can go out and start looking for work. There are so many ways where we can keep this idea of, being soft on crime, not being soft on crime, but being hard on giving people the tools and resources they need to be productive citizens, so we don't have a recidivism rate. Corporations make so much more profits because they rely on the prison system to fulfill a lot of the work that they do. We need to stop that.
One thing I know about Tennessee is well, for one, the U.S. alone, we have a big gun culture, right? We're a gun culture, a gun happy nation. One of those states that I have to kind of call out, Tennessee is very happy when it comes to their weapons. Now, I'm all for protecting your household. I'm all for, I have folks that have them. I'm all for that. But and correct me if I'm wrong, but to my understanding, Tennessee has a permitless carry law where you don't have to have a permit to open carry. Okay. What? What?
We have a school shooting, right? Where we lose babies, and the response is, hey, let's not require anything for anyone to carry whatever. And let's not even talk about the fact that, we gun happy out here. So there are tons of gun fairs and things like that, which means folks out here can just go buy a gun anywhere. Not necessarily have to go through the proper channels to do it. And here lies the problem where they always want to talk about, I don't want anybody to take my guns away from me.
I bring that up, and it is funny because one of my close friends who his folks just moved out to Tennessee, and once he retires, him and his wife, they want to move to Tennessee. I have one of my close friends who we disagree on politically a lot, but we still brothers, right? We still brothers. He is a person that is very proud to have a number of guns. I always ask, why so many, right? Why so many? But hey, so it goes to a further, back and forth, but I still love him. But I mentioned that, Ms. Wynn, because for one, I'm hearing you, I hear that you're not really in favor of that law, but would you vote to change it if it comes to the table for the General Assembly?
Oh my God, yes. We need common sense. And I hate this because I hate when people say this, but we need common sense laws because it's common sense, right? We should have background checks. We should have waiting periods. You know what I mean? It's not just about making sure that the person can afford the gun. It's about making sure that they don't have anything in their background that'll make it dangerous for them to have one. Do you know they tried to push a law through that would make it okay for people who have been charged and convicted of domestic violence to be able to carry a gun?
That's ridiculous. Absolutely
ridiculous. So again, another reason why I am tired of going up there and screaming for the common sense things that people want, and I just want to be in the room so we can get these things taken care of.
Yeah, and what comes to mind is folks that struggle with mental health. It's like, okay, so now you're making it easy for someone to have access to it, And it's just I will never understand that. And they're not the only state. I believe Georgia also brought up to the table. It's a lot. But my final question before we head to the rapid fire round, the redistricting. When it came to the redistricting battle, my home state of Virginia was, front and center with their redistricting battle. Tennessee as well had theirs. Florida. There's been a number of states that have either said, hey, look, we're in favor of redistricting or we're not. Tennessee did something extremely, just disgusting in my opinion, where they voted for a 9-1. It was an 8-1 prior, right? But then they moved it. They voted on making it 9-0, which is freaking insane. You've criticized the political consequences of the redistricting. Now, would you support taking redistricting power away from legislators altogether and creating an independent commission? Even if say, for example, even if Democrats control Tennessee, would you still be in favor of having an independent commission?
Mm-hmm. Yes, because it should be independent, right? We shouldn't be drawing lines based on how we want to win races. We need to be drawing lines based on the demographics of our state and how, those lines truly affect what happens in each district, right? People in Memphis don't have anything in common with the people that live in Franklin. The needs of the people in Franklin, Tennessee and Williamson County are going to be drastically different than what folks need in Memphis over in Shelby County. It's ridiculous to me. For me to share the same district lines as people that are in Shelby County, it makes absolutely no sense. And it also does a disservice to everyone, because what one person can carry that much territory on their own. So yes, I do believe in having an independent council to draw those district lines to make sure that we're being fair and, most importantly, nonpartisan.
Ms. Wynn, we've talked so much about your platform. We've talked so much about the issues happening within or the challenges happening in District 13. Now it's time to have a little bit of fun. I hope that's cool. Now it's time to chillax and have some fun. So this is our rapid fire round. We just get to know our guests a little more. If you had to choose, your favorite artist, your favorite music artist, and that favorite song that you could sing on repeat, it would be a go-to karaoke song. If someone pulled next to you on a stoplight and they hearing you jamming, what is that song and artist that comes to mind for you?
So it changes almost every week, right? Which is so bad. I love music so much. But if we're gonna talk about like R&B, soul, Lucky Day is probably my favorite person right now. And that song that he came out with It's You, that was written by Babyface, that man sang that song, and the story behind it too, because he didn't think that he could hit those notes, and Babyface was like, nah, you gonna hit them notes, and he did. And even when you see him live, oh my God, it's the same thing. The man is amazing. So that is definitely my go-to song. I listen to it on repeat. My other one is Cardi B, Hello, because my friends used to tease me all the time that I say hello all of the time, and I was like, no, I don't. And then 5 minutes later, I was like, hello, and she said, there it is. There it is right there. So I think it's been kind of like my campaign motto or whatever. It's the song that I listen to every time I get into the car to hype me up, because hello, it's me and I'm here.
I like it. Okay, so are you a movie goer, like as far as going to the movie theaters to see a movie, or you are a binge watcher, a Netflix binge watcher? Which one if you had to choose between the two?
If I had to choose between, it's probably movie. I have a movie blanket in the back of my car that I keep on standby. I love going to the movies. Give me some Twizzlers. Don't come at me in the comments, y'all Twizzler haters, but Twizzlers and butter popcorn. That's much.
Let me tell you something. Out of my 31 years of being on this earth, you are the first person I've heard that is also a huge fan of Twizzlers. Let me tell you something. When it comes to
originals.
Thank you. When I went traveling one time, just side note, I went traveling. I went to, it was a store out in the mall called Hot Topics. They had foot-long Twizzlers, like in big packs. I grabbed that, and my friends thought I was crazy. I'm like, no, I gotta get it. And I literally shared it with folks for at least about the whole year of like 2013. Like, I mean, it was, I cannot finish it on my own. I'm literally going around everybody, have a Twizzler, please. Have a Twizzler. I can't get rid of these. Have a Twizzler. But okay, so you're a movie person. What is your favorite movie? If something that there's a film that you can watch on repeat, what is that one movie that you can always watch?
Oh goodness, one movie I can always watch. Probably. God, I hate Disney right now so much. But probably like either Beauty and the Beast, because that was just my favorite Disney cartoon of all time, and I'm just a girly girl in that way. And then I would probably say, I don't know, Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Is that the recent one?
It's
The recent
one, and it is that good. It's Black Panther, and let me stop. Black Panther all the way. I will watch that movie every single time, every iteration, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever you can come out with. But Spider-Man Brand New Day, oh my God, that movie was so good. I will watch it again and again and again and again.
So my wife would be very happy that you said that, because see, I am somebody that is I slack when it comes to like the whole Marvel universe. See, when my wife and I started dating, my wife told me, well, we were dating at the time. She's like, I'm gonna just let you know, we're gonna make this work. You got to be involved in the Marvel universe. You got to have an understanding. And now my experience was only, I've seen the first Spider-Man, and then it was Black Panther. Those are the only two Marvels that I would say I saw. Now, of course, the whole family, my in-laws, they're like, Arrington, you got here's what you got to watch in order to, before you see what is it, the new Doomsday movie. They're like, you got to watch 3 hours worth of stuff. I'm like, excuse me, you got to watch 3 hours. I'm like,
continuation of phase. Oh, listen, for me, when me and my husband got together, I told him, God, I hate J.K. Rowling too right now, but Harry Potter was my thing. Like, you need to be able to speak Harry Potter to me, like, just in your entire life. And so I love it, because now he has a favorite Harry Potter.
That is hilarious. My final rapid fire question I want to throw in is, if you had the opportunity to sit down with, say, 3 influential folks that you've always looked up to, just to sit down and have a conversation, have lunch, whatever, who would those 3 individuals be?
So the first would be my grandfather.
Dead or alive? I always gotta throw that at dead or alive.
Yeah, number 1 would be my grandfather, just because I would want to talk to him about all of his grandsons and his great-grandsons and his granddaughter that he hasn't met. My grandfather passed away right after I had my 3rd son. So I really would love to just sit and chop it up with him about what my life looks like now compared to when he passed away. The second person would be my grandmother on my dad's side. Same thing. I found out I was pregnant with my daughter 2 weeks after she had passed away. And the reason why that's so crazy is because when I was pregnant with my 3rd son, she came with me to the sonogram. And when the woman was like, "Hey, congratulations, you're having a boy," my grandmother looked at her dead in her face and said, "Excuse me, I need you to check that again," because she was sure I was pregnant with a girl.
That is hilarious.
I chop up with her and tell her how crazy her great-granddaughter is. And the third person, who was the third person? Michael Jackson.
Okay. What questions would you have?
I mean, Michael Jackson was the hardest working entertainer, or probably the hardest working person you will ever meet on planet Earth. I really do. That is a man who was passionate about his craft, and I think that's what I would want to talk to him about. I'm all about talking to people who, have become successful in their unique ability, because when you talk to people about that, it gives you so much energy. So I really would want to talk to him about that and all of his humanitarian work that he had done in the past. Because I don't, whatever they may say about him, I will always hold a special place in my heart for that man, for all of the things that he brought to the attention of folks that didn't want to hear it.
Final question of this show: why should Miss Wynn, the voters of District 13, choose you come November 3rd?
I think that voters should choose me come November 3rd because you are ready for a leader who actually wants to work for the people that elected them. Right now, I just left a Stockholm board meeting, and I love being in a room full of people who talk about the great things that are happening in their counties and are truly happy to see the work that they've done come to fruition. And I just want to make everyone in Rutherford County feel that way, right? We have so many things that we want to change. We just need the right person in leadership that can help usher those changes in. And I really, really am that person. And so please, November 3rd, please hire me. I really want this job. And I promise I will put my feet to the pavement to make sure that your needs are met.
For those who are listening, because I've provided your platform, for those who are listening, how are ways they can read more on your platform? And if they have any questions, if they want to reach out, how can they do that?
Yeah, so the website is awynnforsenate.com. Our handles for Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all of that is at awynnforsenate. And you can reach out to me via email. It's angela@awynnforsenate.com, and I answer every email.
Awesome. Well, Miss Wynn, if you don't mind, I would love to chop it with you just for a couple seconds after we finish. We get off. But again, we thank you so much for your time, for taking the time again out your busy schedule to come here on the show. Best of luck to you on your race. We will be keeping in touch with that. And again, don't be a stranger.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Awesome. All right, my friends, I hope you enjoyed yet another great conversation here on the Arrington Gavin Show. Do me a favor, as always, stay blessed, stay safe, stay informed, and be sure to continue to tune into the Arrington Gavin Show for another great convo. All right, peace and blessings. I'm out.
That's it for tonight on the Arrington Gavin Show. Thanks for tapping in and keeping the conversation alive. Don't forget, stay connected with us on all platforms. Follow at Arrington Gavin on Instagram, Blue Sky, and X, and subscribe to the official Substack for exclusive takes and deep dives you won't get anywhere else. We're here every weeknight, same time, same energy, same real talk. Until next time, stay bold, stay sharp, and stay true. That's what we do on the Arrington Gavin Show. Peace.